Working day on the activities of the special monitoring mission of the OSCE in Ukraine will be presented by Alexander Haag, the deputy head of the special monitoring mission.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, there was and has been a significant deterioration of the security situation in parts of the region of Donetsk and Luhansk. For any of you who have read our daily spot reports and our daily reports over the past days, you will have noticed a significant uptick in the reported incidents of indiscriminate shelling, much of it reaching deep into densely populated areas in these neighborhoods. As we speak now, we have a team in Donetsk city who is examining and monitoring the situation at hospital number 27, who had been made subject to a shelling yesterday. Most of the vulnerable parts of the population are mostly suffering from these incidents. Numerous clashes involving tanks, artillery system, anti-tank guided missiles, machine guns, and small firearms are being reported from the A2 zone. Also, for the first time in many weeks, we have monitored and reported the use of cluster munitions, which resulted in fatalities in Luhansk city last week. According to the latest information provided by the United Nations, at least 5,358 individuals have died, and more than 12,200 have been wounded since the beginning of the conflict last year. Well over 1 million people have been displaced since. The OSCE Special Monitoring Mission is also observing the worrying situation of the outflow of internally displaced persons from the conflict zone, especially in and around the badly shelled city of Debaltseve. The violence has complicated the efforts of innocent civilians to flee to safer ground. Stranded civilians are extremely prone to death and injury from indiscriminate shelling. As we speak, the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission is in the process of talking to various sides in the hope to establish a temporary truce that would allow for the immediate evacuation of the civilian population on humanitarian grounds. The OSCE Special Monitoring Mission stands ready to facilitate and to support the truce, which should stay in place for a minimum of 3 days to enable the civilian population to be evacuated from the areas most affected. The OSCE Special Monitoring Mission calls upon all parties to work towards an immediate and sustainable ceasefire and the full implementation of the Minsk documents. There has been too much bloodshed, death, injury, and destruction of civilian infrastructure. A few words now on our current mission strength. The OSCE Special Monitoring Mission continues to operate in 10 locations throughout Ukraine and performs regular monitoring tasks as outlined in its mandate given by the Permanent Council of the OSCE in its decision 1117. Despite the deterioration of the security situation since beginning of January this year, the mission continues to monitor and remain in place and continue to implement its mandate throughout the country. This includes the Donetsk and Luhansk region, which encompass areas under the control of the Ukrainian government, as well as areas controlled by the so-called Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic. The OSCE Special Monitoring Mission has expanded the number of its monitors and seconded staff from now over 40 participating states, and with 430 internationals has significantly improved its operational capacity and has upgraded its security arrangements. The mission's expansion plan is currently on track, and it reaches the target of 500 monitors, most likely by the end of this month. The mission's presence in the regions of Luhansk and Donetsk will be increased to 350 monitors. In this respect, I can also make reference to our status report, which is a document also to be found on our website, which has been updated today. Thank you very much, and I stand available to questions if you have those.
Thank you, Олександр. Колеги, чи є запитання? Так. Чинили з тебе.
Any questions?
I have a question. You speak about the use of cluster munition where the biggest number of people died. Do you have some conclusions? Who used those cluster bombs? Thank you.
Reported publicly in a spot report of the use of cluster ammunition in the Luhansk area and Luhansk city. We have identified the direction from which the cluster ammunition has been deployed. We are not able to identify who has fired the ammunition. If we would have monitored this or established, we would clearly say so.
Nick Shitko with the Wall Street Journal. Quick question to you. I've just heard from Colonel Lysenko that the fighting has declined slightly this week compared to the previous week. So can you confirm that? Do you see any positive changes on the battleground besides all the hotspots such as Debaltseve? But do you see that the situation, the number of shellings is decreasing or something like that? Any positive signs you see? Thanks.
Thank you very much. The mission remains positive and optimistic that a solution can be found. We have indeed registered a relative stable numbers of shelling over the past days. However, the number of incidents remain very high, and we remain concerned that civilians along the line of contact continue to be affected by this shelling. Even though the intensity, as we have seen last week, is not any longer there. However, the number of incidents still are staggering, and the amount of civilian casualties speak for itself, and there is a clear indication that all sides need to apply restraint and that civilians must be given a period of tranquility to allow them to leave the areas that they have been affected by.
Колеги, чи є ще запитання? Thank you very much for information. Next briefing of OSCE representative next Thursday. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Колеги, наступний наш брифінг за 5 хвилин. Дякую всім.
Next briefing is taking place in 5 minutes. Thank you.